Alrighty, I think we are live here on the channel. Make sure all the loose ends are cleaned up here to make sure we're live for sure. Good Monday afternoon. Today is July 28th, 2025, and we have significant severe weather on our hands across the Midwest, or what we would call this time of year the Corn Belt. And significant severe weather is in the forecast. We're going to walk you through the Storm Prediction Center outlooks of the probabilities of what you could see as far as damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes are concerned. We'll go through the timing of the storms, when you can expect it for your backyard, and we'll be answering questions here on the live stream as well. If you have any particular city, state that you want, part of the state you want me to, answer questions for, we could do that. We'll look at the impacts these storms will bring as well. So thanks for joining, everybody. If you are here, would you kindly press the like button, share this live stream with as many people as you can, press the share button, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter or X, anywhere you can possible. Definitely gets the word out because significant severe weather is a big deal. And here we go. So looking here at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, we have that cherry color here, which is relatively rare, especially this time of year. Typically when you see these cherry colors, that is when you see mainly a windstorm versus a tornado outbreak, and that's exactly what we are seeing today. If you guys don't know what a derecho is, a derecho, first and foremost, is a fast-moving line of storms. It's typically associated with widespread damaging winds that could be of 58 miles per hour or greater. In extreme instances, such as possibly even today, derechos can produce winds of 100 mile per hour or greater. So the outlook today, we have that cherry red color. That's a moderate risk. This is a 4 out of 5 on the risk scale. This is where widespread destructive thunderstorms are likely today in eastern South Dakota, southwestern, eventually southern Minnesota, and north central Iowa. Notice the orange color here. That is an enhanced risk. That's a 3 out of 5 on the risk scale, where numerous and several severe thunderstorms are likely from central portions of South Dakota all the way down into northeastern Iowa, and taking up coverage of a good chunk of south central Minnesota as well. And then in the yellow, that's a slight risk of severe weather, where scattered severe thunderstorms are possible from Montana all the way over here to far northwest Illinois and west central Wisconsin. And then finally in the dark green, that is a 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather, where isolated severe thunderstorms are possible from the northern Rockies in general over into the southwest and western Great Lakes. So the biggest threat here in the short term will be the storms producing destructive hailstones in excess of 2 inches in diameter. If you can think of a 2-inch diameter hailstone, that is bigger than golf ball size. So we're starting to get into hen egg size, tennis ball, even baseball size now. That's possible up here with some cold air aloft in central Montana. It's also possible in eastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota with those initial supercells that develop here later on this afternoon. And in addition to that, we could be seeing some tornadoes. In the brown, that's a 5% chance. In the green, that's a 2% chance of tornadoes. This is all within a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around this area. So there is a decent tornado chance, but by far the biggest risk will be damaging straight line winds, and quite honestly destructive wind gusts. Where you see this cherry red color, that's a 30% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or greater. You see this magenta color, this is a 45% chance of wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or greater. And then you notice this hatch mark that's outlined in black, covering much of South Dakota, much of southern Minnesota, into north central Iowa, even a small smidge over there toward La Crosse, Wisconsin. That is where we could be seeing some instances of winds between 75 and 90 miles per hour, and maybe even some 100 mile per hour wind gusts in this region. So that is a big deal. And it is, there's some bigger cities in the mix here. We got Waterloo, we got La Crosse, we got Rochester, Mankato, all the way back here into the big cities of eastern South Dakota as well. Now, going into tomorrow, the severe weather threat will shift further to the south, and again, we have a slow-moving cold front. This will bring some scattered severe weather to the eastern portions of the Rockies, like Wyoming, back into Nebraska and southwest Iowa, Omaha, Des Moines, Lincoln, and North Platte, Cheyenne, Wyoming. You guys are all included. Thankfully, though, tomorrow, On your Tuesday, July 29th, the tornado risk is less than 2%. So we're mainly looking at more damaging wind gusts and some hail along with very heavy downpours. So let's look here at the storms at present here, right? And the parameters going into this setup here, and then we'll answer some questions. Again, I appreciate everybody being here. If you're here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do straightforward, accurate, reliable weather coverage, whether it's across southern Canada, the United States, the tropics. We do it here on the channel. Make sure to subscribe. We do videos daily. We just posted a video earlier today. We're going to do another one tomorrow, and we're live right now. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Looking here at the mid-afternoon, we have a lot of instability here starting to build across the Midwest, or what, again, we call the Corn Belt. And this is over 5,000 joules per kilogram building across parts of Iowa, northern Missouri, portions of Nebraska, and South Dakota. Now, this is fuel. The higher the number, the more likely thunderstorms are to develop and the more likely they are to become severe. And notice that storm fuel, it's still around even well after dark, after midnight. We still have around 5,000 joules per kilogram, which is extreme storm energy across central Iowa. So there will be no shortage of storm energy with this system to tap into at the surface or aloft. And so here's what the radar could look like over the next couple of hours. We are probably already seeing some storm cells popping up back here somewhere in the high plains across South Dakota and Nebraska. These are the initial storms, okay? This is 3 to about 5 o'clock. So this is already happening up until about 5 o'clock. We're going to see some supercell storms. This is where we could have that destructive hail risk with hailstones, again, upwards to baseball size. And we could also be seeing 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts with these supercells and a tornado risk as well. Let's march further to the east into the 7, 8, 9 o'clock hour. Notice we're starting to see a cluster of those supercells coming together. This is mainly across southeastern and eastern portions of South Dakota. Couple supercells trailing along that into northern Nebraska. This is when the hail threat and the tornado threat will be maximizing by about 7 to 9 o'clock here early this evening as that low-level jet starts to increase. We're going to start to see enhanced low-level wind shear, which is going to lead to more tornadic development. And then once we get past 9 o'clock, I think this becomes a wind bag. And a lot of people have been talking about a derecho with this. I think it is definitely in the cards for the potential of a derecho still in the Midwest here in the Corn Belt region, as a derecho has to go 400 miles. And this easily could go 400 miles here for several hours as we go through the overnight hours. So once we get to about 11 o'clock, midnight, we're going to see the storms moving into southern Minnesota and northwestern Iowa. This is when we could see some really destructive winds on the leading edge of this line of storms. Notice kind of the backward C shape to this. We could be seeing winds up to as high as 90, if not 100 miles per hour across a good chunk of southern Minnesota and far northwestern Iowa. Now, as we go in towards the 2, 3 o'clock hour, this will continue to march quickly off to the east, already at the Mississippi River in eastern portions of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, knocking on the doorstep of La Crosse, Waterloo, Elkader, Iowa, over here toward Prairie du Chien and Fenimore, those areas, we could be still seeing 70 to 90 mile per hour winds. The strongest storms will be on the southern flank here, as the instability further north is going to be a little bit lower. So areas near Des Moines to Waterloo to Dubuque is probably going to be a pretty noisy, overnight hours and early in the morning. Once we get to about daybreak, notice how it starts to weaken. Now, this is a question mark. How fast does this weaken? Does it weaken slowly? Does it weaken very quickly? That is a big question mark, because if it weakens slowly, I could see this getting into northern Illinois and still posing a risk there in northern Illinois and eastern Iowa of at least up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts and some potentially some quarter-size hail, locally heavy downpours, and some cloud to ground lightning. I know a lot of us in northern Illinois probably woke up to some loud claps of thunder early this morning, and that could happen once again with potentially a wind risk added onto that as well. Now, if this weakens very quickly across Iowa, this will probably fizzle to just some showers and some renegade thunderstorms that are not severe into northern Illinois. So that is a big question. If you live in northern Illinois, Rockford, Peru, down there toward Princeton, Freeport, those areas, make sure you have a NOAA weather radio handy early tomorrow morning. You may have it programmed to your specific county. A severe thunderstorm watch or warning could be updated in your area. once we get into the early morning hours on Tuesday. So let's talk more about this wind risk, okay? And then we'll answer some questions that you do have. Like, so as we go through the evening hours, those supercells, again, could be posing a risk for 70, 80 mile per hour wind, showing a max around 84 miles an hour by 11 o'clock. Notice here it's still showing some very intense winds pushing in to the upper Mississippi Valley there near the Mississippi River, La Crosse, down to a line into the Rochester area, Minnesota, Waterloo, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines. You guys are all going to get included in this once we get into after midnight, between around 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., and then that'll be pushing into northern Illinois after 4 a.m. to around 8 o'clock in the morning with those wind gusts that could be potentially damaging at times. And again, it depends on how quickly this starts to weaken. Thank you all for being here again. Let's answer some questions. So if you guys have any questions to ask about the setup for severe weather today, a specific city you're looking at, and the timing that you can expect storms, I'm here for you to answer any and all questions that you have. That's why we're doing the live stream here today. So let me go back to reflectivity and back this up a little bit and see if we can answer some questions. So Hammer says Marengo on the mighty Kishwaukee River. So thank you for joining. Yeah, Marengo, Illinois is up there in north central, northeastern Illinois. I see the storms weakening once it moves into Marengo. Right now, this could be a little bit too quickly to weaken. I think there still could be a line, or at least a broken line of some storms here by about 6 to 8 a.m. On Tuesday morning. That could bring maybe 50 or 60 mile per hour wind gusts to Marengo. So that'd be something to watch out for. Quarter size hail, locally heavy downpours, and obviously those cloud to ground lightning strikes, much like we saw early this morning, if you heard those as well. That is in the cards as we go into Tuesday. Let's see here. Lone Wolf's in Waterloo. Yes, make sure if you're in Waterloo, Iowa, that you have a NOAA weather radio. And if you don't, just make sure you have multiple ways to receive severe weather watches and warnings overnight into the early morning hours in case you do go to sleep. So you having a way to get alerted if a severe thunderstorm warning, for example, a flash flood warning, or a tornado warning is issued for your area later on tonight. Make sure you have multiple ways, a smartphone, a NOAA weather radio, your local TV meteorologist, maybe keep your TV on a little bit. Have a way to get an alert later on tonight there in Waterloo. Looks like it could get pretty nasty. The arrival in Waterloo looks to be between about 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So that's what we're looking at there for the arrival in Waterloo, is 11 p.m. this evening to 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So it'll be a very late event there for you, but these storms could pack quite a punch there into the Waterloo area. Thank you, Tabletop Geek, for the $2. Severe risk for Wilmington the next few days. I'm assuming you're talking about Wilmington, Illinois. If you were talking about Wilmington, Illinois, the arrival time there will be any time after daybreak. So we're saying around 7 to 9 a.m. in Wilmington. It's likely to be on a very quick weakening trend, though. Assuming you're talking about Wilmington, Illinois. Let me know if that is the one you're talking about. All right, so let me scroll up. I'm going to try and get to as many questions as I can. Can't promise I can get to everybody's, but we're going to get to the majority that we can here. So let me scroll on up real quick, and let's do... hopefully I'm pronouncing this right and not butchering the name of your city. Wabasso, Minnesota forecast, please. So let me pull up my maps here, and we'll look at that for you. All right, so the Wabasso area in Minnesota, we're looking at a earlier arrival for these storms. It looks like an earlier evening event, so it looks like these storms push into your area between 8 o'clock and 11 p.m. So that's what we're looking at, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. It looks like it could pack quite a punch there. At this point, that's where we could be seeing wind gusts anywhere between about 70 and 90 miles per hour with isolated 100 mile per hour wind gusts being a possibility. Hail up to a golf ball size potentially in southwest Minnesota there, including the Wabasso area, and also an isolated tornado threat. You can get these quick spin up tornadoes with this as well. So that's what we're looking at, 8 p.m. to around 11 p.m. this evening. Medina, Mississippi. Medina, Minnesota. I'm so used to saying Mississippi because usually severe weather is further to the south. So the Medina, Minnesota area, so you're just west of Minneapolis. Looks like the strongest storm should actually track south of you, but you could get the far northern portion of this storm complex. It looks like the timing for that would be between around 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. So that's what we're looking at there for arrival. Give or take an hour, folks. So if I'm giving you a time frame that's crunched down by about 2 to 3 hours, give or take an hour. But 10 p.m. to around 1 a.m. there into the Medina, Minnesota area. I think the strongest storms are going to be further south and east toward Rochester, but you could still see some 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, some hail, and locally very heavy downpours with this storm complex there in Medina. Again, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Let's see here. I'm scrolling down. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Thank you, Mike, for joining. The Cedar Rapids area, we're looking at a late arrival for you. It looks like Cedar Rapids after midnight. So we're talking 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. for an arrival there in Cedar Rapids. Again, give or take an hour, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. for an arrival. Looks like the wind gusts in the Cedar Rapids area could be pretty strong. Could be seeing winds between 60 and 75 miles per hour. So we could be seeing some pretty strong winds there on the leading edge of the storms. Tornado risk at this point should be low, but still watching out for an isolated tornado spin up that could develop there in the leading edge near Cedar Rapids or Iowa City there in eastern Iowa, but mainly a gust front. So we're mainly looking at damaging winds of 60 to 75 miles an hour, some hail and very heavy blinding rain with that moving across central and eastern Iowa. Cedar Rapids in particular, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. That is the timing right now that we are looking at. All right, we'll continue to scroll on down here. I'm from Fridley, Minnesota, a northern suburb of Minneapolis. What is coming our way? So Judy, looks like the northern end of the complex of storms is going to be moving your direction. It may just go south of you. That's still possible, especially if you're north of Minneapolis proper. We could still see some showers and storms, but I think the strongest part of the bow echo actually goes further to the south. It's kind of hugging the Minnesota-Iowa state line, but we could still see some isolated 60 mile per hour wind gusts, some quarter-size hail, and some locally heavy downpours up there into the Fridley, Minnesota area. But the strongest of the storms should go further to the south. Let's see here. Greene County, Wisconsin. Sandra is asking. Let's see here where Greene County is. I believe that's in southern Wisconsin, near the Illinois-Wisconsin state line, if I'm correct, and I am. So we are looking at areas there in southern Wisconsin that includes just west of Janesville. So Monroe, New Glarus, Albany, and the Stearns area. It looks like a very early arrival in the morning tomorrow on a weakening trend. So that's some good news. Still could be seeing some winds between 50 and 70 miles per hour, some small hail and locally heavy rainfall there for Monroe, Janesville, New Glarus, and those areas in southern Wisconsin, including much of Greene County. The arrival there is between about 5 to 8 a.m. 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. is the arrival there into Greene County, Wisconsin. Again, it'll be on a weakening trend. That is the expectation at this point in time. So folks, if you're putting counties in the chat, make sure you're putting a state with it as well. So for example, Greene County, Wisconsin, or Hennepin County, Illinois, or Washington County, Iowa. Just to make it easier on me, because if you're saying Hennepin County, if there's a Hennepin County in Minnesota, and then there's one in Iowa, and there's one in Illinois and Missouri, I don't know which one you're talking about. So please be precise in saying which county and which state that county is in, and we can get you your information. All right, so let's keep going down here. Guttenberg, Iowa from Easton. The Guttenberg area is potentially seeing some severe weather. So let me go back over here to my maps real quick. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right as well. Gutenberg, Iowa. So you're in northeastern Iowa there, just across the river from Bloomington, Wisconsin. Yes, so we're looking at an arrival there after midnight. It looks like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. will be the arrival. So 2 to 5 a.m. could be seeing some 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts there. It looks like around 60, 70 mile per hour winds should be the main threat, along with blinding rainfall, some cloud to ground lightning, hail. Tornado risk should be pretty low overall, with this mainly being a damaging wind threat there for Gutenberg. Columbia, South Carolina, you're not included in any risk of severe weather anytime soon. If anything, you're going to have some tropical weather interests probably later on in the week with some very heavy rainfall. But right now, this is for the Midwest. The Columbia, South Carolina is not seeing really much. So the states that are going to get hit by this, I see a question about that. South Dakota, southern Minnesota, much of the state of Iowa, southwest and western Wisconsin, and perhaps far northwest Illinois are the states primarily going to be affected, and the regions being affected by this between late tonight and early Tuesday morning. And this could, my friends, again, be a derecho. A derecho, again, is a fast-moving line of storms producing winds of 58 miles per hour or greater over a distance of up to 400 miles or greater. So it has to go 400 miles or longer for it to be classified as a derecho. Again, if you're just joining, we're doing live severe weather coverage, talking about the timing of the storms, the impacts, and the hazards that could bring. Thank you all for being here. If you are not a subscriber here to my channel, Weather on the Go, make sure to do so. We do daily forecast videos, straightforward, straight to the point, accurate, reliable. We cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. I appreciate all the subscribers that have just subscribed to my channel. How's Belleville, Michigan for Tuesday night, Avery? We're not looking at really much over there Tuesday night. I think a couple storms are possible, but nothing significant over there in Michigan Tuesday night. I don't think the tornado risk will get upgraded. This is a tornado risk early on, so notice how these storms early are supercells across South Dakota and into northern Nebraska. As they push east, they're going to cluster up very quickly and grow into a bow echo. It's that backward C shape. It's what it is the winds pushing the rainfall forward here, and that's what you see on the radar is that backward C shape, and that could be a derecho. And again, that when you see the backward C shape, that means that the winds are very strong on the leading edge there along with the rainfall. So that is why the radar shows that backward C shape. Not really looking at much of a tornado risk, although there could be some spin ups with that along the leading edge. So Addie is asking Chaska, Minnesota. So let's look here at the Chaska area. So you're just southwest of Minneapolis. Again, it looks like the strongest of the storms should go just to your south by about 50 miles to 100 miles, okay? So the strongest by far in Minnesota, I think the Rochester area for its population being so large, I think that's the major metropolitan area that is going to be impacted by this derecho. The apex of the bow echo looks to go through Rochester, Minnesota there with winds that perhaps could be upwards to 90 or 100 miles per hour in that area. For your area in particular, though, Chaska, we're looking at an arrival time on the northern end of this complex anywhere between about 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So we'll give you that 2 to 3 hour window there. 11 p.m. this evening to 2 a.m., 60, 70 mile hour winds, some large hail potentially, a lot of lightning, and some tornado potential. But the tornado potential should be winding down at this point in time. You're welcome, Mary. Mrs. Vargas, DeKalb, Kendall counties in Illinois. Looks like it's going to be on a weakening trend over there in areas along and east of I-39. Most of the weather models have been kind of fizzling this out. I think this is a little overdone of how quickly this is weakening because it's very unstable. You step outside northern Illinois just as well as I can. I actually do live here in northern Illinois. Sun is out, very humid. I think these storms are going to hold on a little bit longer than this model is showing. I still think their potential of 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts is there for parts of especially DeKalb County, but I think as it pushes east into Kendall, it's going to start to weaken. So as it pushes east into Kendall County, Cook County, DuPage, Kane counties, all those areas over towards Chicago, I think it's going to start to weaken as it moves further to the east. Again, arrival time in DeKalb County, it looks around sunrise, so between 6 and 8 a.m. Kane, DuPage, and Kendall counties. A little bit after that, probably around 8 to 10 a.m. And it should be on a weakening trend by then. Tennessee, we're not looking at severe weather in Tennessee. A whole lot of heat, though, in Tennessee. Severe weather is much further to the northwest. Amanda's asking, how's the Wausau, Wisconsin area looking for overnight? So Wausau could be seeing some stronger storms overnight tonight. It looks like it's going to be really actually early tomorrow morning. The Wausau area potentially could be seeing some stronger storms. But you might be too far north for the stronger storms. So, like, for the strongest of the storms. But there still could be some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts there and some hail with some heavier rainfall at times. But I think the strongest storms will drop south more into Iowa and southern Wisconsin versus north or central Wisconsin. But there still could be some stronger storms up there into the Wausau area. Arrival time would be between about 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. for that over there in Wausau on Tuesday morning. You're welcome, Mrs. Vargas. Let's see how. You're not far from me in northeastern Illinois. Absolutely not. Yep. I live near the Rockford area, northern Illinois. Let's see here. Great Falls, Montana. Montana could see some stronger storms. Let me go back here to the west. Montana could see some stronger storms over here. I don't foresee them being really that destructive outside of hail. I think hail is going to be the biggest threat over the next few hours leading up to about midnight. I think after midnight, those storms really start to weaken in Montana, but we could still see some locally heavy downpours. So hail is really the big threat there in Montana. Just 1 second, folks. Very windy and raining hard in Toledo, huh? McHenry County area for me, Walworth County. Yeah, the McHenry County area and Walworth both are, it's going to be on a weakening trend. I think there'll be some strong winds potentially with that arriving after 6 o'clock in the morning. So 6 to 9 a.m. there in Walworth County, Wisconsin and McHenry County, Illinois. But I think it'll be on a significant weakening trend at that point in time. Jennifer asks, do you think it will be a winter full of snow? I'm sure there'll be some pretty decent snowstorms this winter. ENSO neutral and weak La Nina conditions are expected this winter, so that would favor a lot of snow and some cold. The potential for a polar vortex right now is uncertain. But yeah, it looks like a pretty snowy winter for the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast this upcoming winter. And by the way, folks, my winter forecast is 1 month away from Thursday. So August 31st, mark your calendars every year. August 31st is my full winter forecast. That will be out in just over a month from now. So a month from this upcoming Thursday on August 31st, 2025, my winter forecast for the 2025 and 26 season will be posted on my YouTube channel on August 31st. Yeah, I know, right? It is nice to think about snow. I just went outside to see how hot it was just a little bit ago. I've been inside in the air conditioning all day, and it's hot. You know, it feels like 100 degrees where I'm at here in northern Illinois. You got that corn sweat going on. You know, you walk right outside. You're not even doing anything, no exercise, no running, walking, or anything, and you automatically sweat. So that's what we're going through here in the Midwest and northern Illinois here today, especially. I'm sorry, Heather. Didn't mean to stir the beans there. About the winter. Correct. Yes. 1 inch of liquid or rain is 10 inches of snow, Jennifer. Absolutely correct. I know. I'm getting tired of the heat as well. I'm ready for it to be September and cooler, right? That's what we're expecting. I kind of think it'll be a warm start to fall overall, but I think we're going to start to cool off toward the end of fall a lot quicker than we have the last few falls. I think. I have to look at more data to really get into that, but. Yikes. Yeah, Jennifer, that's hot. 102 with the heat index. That's a day full of water, hydration, and probably being in the pool, right? That's exactly what that means. And then we'll be tired of snow after 2 weeks. You know, after this heat, I don't think I'll be tired of snow anytime soon. Put it that way. All right, so if anybody has any more questions about the severe weather risk, I think we're going to wrap this live stream up if nobody has any other questions. I just figured go on live here for 15 to 30 minutes, something like that, 45 minutes, whatever it may be. Answer your guys' questions. I know I don't go live probably as much as you guys wish I would. I do videos though daily, so I do 1 to 2 videos, especially for higher impact events. I do 2 videos a day. I will not have a video out this evening for a forecast. We will, however, have another video forecast out for you late tomorrow morning, so be looking out for that. My videos usually come out around 11 a.m. or noon, and yeah, we talk about southern Canada, the United States, the tropics. The tropics are very active right now. We have more severe weather this week. We got a cool front coming through that's going to bring some much cooler air, lower humidity. And in the long range, I think, honestly, we get back to this. We have northwest flow thunderstorm complexes coming right back across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, Ohio Valley region by the second week, I think, of August. So it's a pretty active summer, one of the more active summers that I can remember in recent history, in the last few summers. The severe weather season has been absolutely crazy this year. A lot of tornadoes in July. I don't remember July being this active last year, but I could be wrong. Do you think that the derecho that dies off will form thunderstorms in Michigan? Yeah, it could, but it's not going to be as significant as what we're seeing tonight. So, yeah, that remnants of that could develop storms over here in Michigan tomorrow afternoon. A few of those could be strong, but I don't expect another derecho, if that's what you're asking. So, I'm not expecting another derecho to happen in Michigan. It's just going to be scattered storms that will be possible, from late morning Tuesday through the mid and late afternoon Tuesday in Michigan. So that will be lower Michigan. So we're talking Grand Rapids, Lansing, Kalamazoo, the Flint area down there toward Detroit. Keeping an eye on that for some stronger wind gusts and hail. The tornado risk in Michigan tomorrow should be very low. Across the entire U.S., the latest outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow is less than 2%. And actually, the latest update does not even have an outlook for severe weather in Michigan, so it's further west. So we're talking more northwest Indiana near Gary and South Bend, and then southern Wisconsin from Milwaukee back here towards the Platteville area, and then northern Illinois, Rockford, Peoria, and Waukegan and Chicago, those areas. So, and westward. That's for tomorrow. Will there be a derecho in August? I have no idea. Derechos are very difficult to predict more than 12 or 24 hours out in time. I think the pattern, again, in the second and third week of August could be similar to the pattern we're having right now that could favor the development of derechos, but whether or not there's legit going to be a derecho in August, I really can't answer that. That is impossible for me to know right now. But yeah, the pattern recognition by the middle of August could support another one of these types of storm complexes. Definitely a possibility. The last few Augusts have actually done that. So it's climatologically normal for derechos to happen this time of year, but obviously they're high impact events, and that's why we go live. That's why we do videos and talk about them as much as we can to get you more aware of these situations. Windy. Jennifer says it's windy where you're at. Well, good, because it's not windy here, and you go outside and it's literally a sauna out there right now. It feels like a furnace. It's really warm. It's very light breeze out there right now, I think, here where I'm at. So I'd rather have a breeze than no breeze, that's for sure. At least it stirs up the air. No problem, Jennifer. And no problem, Hurricane Expert. Thank you for being here as well. Hey folks, guess what? We are just about 250 subscribers from 134,000. So if you want to help me get closer to that goal, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, we're going to do another video forecast for you tomorrow. Again, the video forecast for tonight is we're not doing a video tonight. So we're not doing a video forecast tonight. We're doing one tomorrow. 11 a.m. to noon will be the next release of my video forecast. And then we'll do it again on Wednesday and so forth. My friend told me it might be upgraded to a high risk, but I don't see a high risk being upgraded at this point in time. I think a moderate risk will do for this system. A moderate risk is still pretty significant. I mean, you see this usually in the springtime, and it brings major tornado outbreaks. A moderate risk in the summertime is more for windstorms. Not that tornadoes can't happen in the summer. They certainly could, and tornadoes still could happen. Tonight there is a tornado risk here, 5% in brown, 2% in green, mostly into South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. But a moderate risk means widespread and destructive storms are likely. So you don't want to let your guard down even for moderate risk. Scott is asking for Southwest Joliet. Thanks for your info. Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Scott. Joliet area, you're kind of on the line between a 1 out of 5 marginal, where isolated severe thunderstorms are possible in dark green. That's just west of you. Joliet, Illinois is actually in the general 0 out of 5. So you're in the general thunderstorm risk. As far as the storms in arrival there into the Joliet area, it looks like it'll be on a weakening trend again for areas east of I-39, and if you're just south and west of Joliet, like Morris, Streeter, Ottawa, Marseilles, those areas, you're probably going to be okay. I think this will be a 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. time frame for you if it does arrive, and it could be some couple of downpours with it, some stronger winds, maybe 40 miles an hour, but I don't foresee anything really too significant there for east central Illinois. Yeah, TNG, I try to do severe weather forecasts more live and answer questions. I think I just have enough time to do it with higher impact events. Obviously, I'm not going to come on here every marginal risk or slight risk day and say, hey, there's going to be 60 mile per hour winds, because if I'm posting a video, that information is already out there. So what I would be doing is just reiterating it. But if it's a higher impact event, so like an enhanced, especially a moderate and then a high risk, that's where we come on live and we talk about the timing, the impacts, and all that stuff, the hazards the storms could bring, and especially if they impact a lot of people. The mission on this channel is to give you guys the most accurate and precise, reliable weather coverage. That's the mission. That's always been the mission here on this channel. So that's why we try to get as many people aware of the weather as possible. So again, I couldn't do this without you folks. You guys are a big help into, liking my videos, getting my videos out to more and more people by sharing them, getting the word out that way. I really do appreciate it. So thank you. Will Albert Lee, Minnesota have strong winds later today? John H., thank you for being here. I will look for you real quick. How about that? So Albert Lee. And again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yes, you're right in the middle of that there. I would be weather aware very quickly here this evening. So it looks like mid to late evening will be the time to watch. I'm talking between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. So we got kind of like a 4-hour window there. You're probably going to see the most significant winds from this in southern Minnesota besides the Rochester area. Wind gusts there could be upwards to 90, if not 100 miles per hour at the strongest. And again, that will be closer to the midnight time frame. So we're looking at 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. to watch out for that. If you have a NOAA weather radio, if you're going to sleep, say at 9 o'clock, make sure to have your NOAA weather radio programmed to your specific county that Albert Lee is in, and go from there, because again, that will alert you. That will alert you to a severe thunderstorm warning. That will alert you to a flash flood warning and a tornado warning, especially there in Albert Lee, Minnesota. It looks like to get some of the worst winds from this there in southern Minnesota. Thank you, Ben, for being here. Yeah, I mean, can you explain on non-thunderstorm winds? So a non-thunderstorm winds is winds that are not produced by a thunderstorm. They're gradient winds, sometimes associated with a low pressure system. It's just pulling warm, moist air to the north or pulling cool, dry air to the south. And typically that happens in the transition seasons and spring and fall. You see more of those what we call gradient winds. And those could give you, your wind advisories, your high wind watches and warnings and stuff like that. Those are not usually associated with thunderstorms. That's what non-thunderstorm winds are. They're not associated with the thunderstorm at all. Yeah, you're welcome, John H. Thanks for being here. What do you think about Cedar Rapids, Iowa city area for tonight and tomorrow? I think the arrival is going to be late, very late tonight there into the Cedar Rapids, Iowa area. This is the latest update actually from the HRRR. It looks like it, and again, this model has it further north. I actually favor it kind of starting here, so watch my cursor, and kind of moving eastward into southern Minnesota and then kind of dropping a little bit further south and east. This model has it just kind of going east. While that's still possible, typically these mesoscale convective systems, these complexes of storms, like, storm energy, they feed off storm energy, right? Like we eat food, a car needs gasoline to drive, a plane needs jet fuel to fly. Thunderstorms need storm energy to survive as well. So they're not going to go straight east. There's nothing over here in central Wisconsin that much for storm energy. The richer storm energy is further south into central and southeast Iowa, northern Illinois. So I think these storms are going to have a tendency to drop a little bit further to the southeast, kind of along the instability gradient there. That's something we're keeping a very close eye on. When does that turn? When does that turn happen? But right now, the Iowa City area, Cedar Rapids, we're looking at around midnight to 3 a.m. is the new timing there for your area. So even though the show's at kind of north of Cedar Rapids and Iowa City, I would caution you that it could turn more southeast. That is definitely a possibility. Yeah, there's a small tornado chance. I think the best threat, though, is for damaging winds and some heavy rainfall. I think the tornadoes and the hail threat there, Isaiah, is pretty low overall, but it could still happen. So hopefully that's helpful for your question there. We get those high winds in the winter along the front range of the Rockies and Colorado. They tip semis over, roads get closed. Yeah, absolutely. And then you get in California called the Santa Ana winds. The Santa Ana winds are very strong, and those sometimes they can be associated even more dangerously with dry fuels, right? With fire weather risks out there. So a lot of different areas in the United States are more associated with winds than you think. You got the Rockies there, like MH08 was showing on here talking about on the comment section here. You got the Santa Ana winds in California. You got the plains, especially the southern plains. And then you have areas of the East Coast that get some pretty strong winds there, like Cape Cod and stuff like that too. And the Windy City, Chicago. And the Windy City in Chicago could get pretty windy early tomorrow morning, especially if some of these storms move through after daybreak. That's for sure. You're welcome, C. Yeah, the dew point, 78. Yeah, that's what I call tropical, right? That's the air you can wear. You go outside and it feels like you have a coat on. That's what 78-degree dew point feels like. Kentucky, we're not looking at any storms anytime soon. Kentucky's probably looking at more of a Thursday threat for some thunderstorms. Here's Kentucky over the next couple of days. Nothing tonight in Kentucky really outside of a shower or storm really the next few hours. Tuesday morning will start dry, completely dry in Kentucky, and actually the afternoon there could be a pop-up storm over there in southeast or eastern Kentucky, but areas toward Bowling Green, Paducah, Louisville, those areas, probably not going to see a drop of rain over the next couple of days. So nothing severe in Kentucky anytime soon. Here, I'll put the outlook up for you so you guys can see. Again, the red is a moderate risk. That's a 4 out of 5. The orange is a enhanced risk. That's a 3 out of 5. The yellow is a slight risk. That's a 2 out of 5. And the dark green is a marginal risk, a 1 out of 5. And then obviously the lighter green there, the lighter green color there is a 0 out of 5 general thunderstorm risk. The humidity in Denver is 10%. Wow, I haven't even seen that. All right, folks. Well, I am going to wrap up the live stream. So hopefully I answered as many questions that you guys asked as possible. I'll try to do more of these live streams. Obviously, if you see me live for these events, it's for a higher impact day, whether that's for significant severe weather, enhanced risk or higher, whether that's a major winter storm or a blizzard, or ice storm, stuff like that. That's why I go live. The polar vortex, very cold air that's dangerous and hazardous to us humans. That's why we go live for higher impact events. Otherwise, I'll be doing daily videos like I've been doing on my channel. So go check out my video from earlier on today. All that information is still valid here to this minute, to this hour. So make sure to go check that out. Give it a like and comment below if you have any questions, comments, concerns in that video. So otherwise, I will not have a video tonight. I will have one again tomorrow, 11 a.m. or noon, okay? 11 a.m. to noon. That's kind of the time frame we do videos every day. And if we do 2-a-days, my second videos come out around 6 p.m. So, and obviously that won't happen today, but in future days, just know my second channel or my second video will be out at 6 p.m. First video, 11 a.m. to noon, okay? Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Have a wonderful and, more importantly, a very safe rest of your Monday out there. Severe weather is definitely significant there in the Midwest. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday out there.